Is there?
All right. Lights. Camera. Active. I call to order the regular Board of Education meeting on December 19th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in the boardroom of Oak Park and Forest High School. And I for a roll call, please.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Dr. Mahavich.
Here.
Mr. Arkin.
Here.
Mr. Williamson. Here. Dr. Williamson.
Here.
Mr. Grandhouse. And Mr. Costi.
Here. I move to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing the employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel of the district and independent contractors and specific volunteers, including hearing testimony on the complaint lodged against an employer or against the counsel of the district to commit this delivery. However, meeting to consider an increase in compensation for a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. Like negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives on deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more employees, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Dr. Mahavich.
Yes.
Mr. Arkin.
Yes.
Mr. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane.
Yes.
Dr. Winston.
Yes.
Mr. Costi.
Yes. We got it. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are reconvening open session. And our first segment will be our introductory reports. And were you flipping, changing, or
Oh,
I don't know.
no, we start with
Okay.
student showcase.
We will start with
and that works
we will
perfectly.
start with student showcase. Okay. So, Dr. Johnson.
Okay, so first up for our student showcase tonight is students and teacher from our mini restaurant program, and I believe Dr. Fiorenza is going to come up and do a quick intro, and then we will get things rolling. We are in for a little bit of a unique experience tonight. So, Dr. Fiorenza, the floor is yours.
So I just want to introduce Mr. Zubair Muhammad. He is a part of our Family and Consumer Science Department under the Fine Applied Arts Division. Mr. Muhammad joined us just this school year. So he has been here a few months and runs many restaurants and has made a huge impression on not only staff, but students alike. And so I'm going to turn it over to him to introduce his students and his program.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Zubair Muhammad. This is my first year at OPRF, as I mean South last year. Joining me today are my students, Mina Hollins and John Bullens. These students are incredible. Both of them are juniors. These are straight A students right here. And what they prepared for you today is a menu that we executed back in October. And we package these menus in typical fashion. Usually we'll send out a menu event twice a month, and it'll usually be $5, and it'll come with a side, an entree, and a dessert. So today's menu will be focaccia bread made by Mina. She's an excellent baker. And then the soup, John took the lead with that. It's a roasted red pepper soup with a bunch of basil, heavy cream, and seasonings. And then our classic chocolate oatmeal cookies. If you all have been to faculty meetings, this is a staple recipe at OPRF, and we served it last week as well. So I'm excited for you all to try this menu, and I would like to hand it over to my students as well if you have any questions, and we'll stick around as well. We'll talk more about our program. Okay. Right, Mina.
Okay, as Mr. Muhammad said, my name is Mina Owens. Well, growing up, I always thought I was gonna be a chef. Thought that was gonna be my passion. I love cooking, I love baking. It, to this day is my biggest stress reliever. Even with finals, I needed to cook or I think I was gonna go crazy. And with the commercial kitchen, I had the option to bring in my own ingredients and cook in the kitchen, and it was a good stress relief, like in the middle of the day, before I had to take my Thursday final here. This class has taught me a lot about how to work in a restaurant for my future, because it's always something I wanted to try and do. With this class, I get a search manager, which is gonna help me get jobs in the future. It's gonna be very important for me. It's one of the most basic things that they require you to have, so being able to get it here for one free trial is very amazing, and I really appreciate it. I love cooking and baking. I love having a random day I can cook and bake in the class. It's great. And Mr. Muhammad has been a joy of a teacher, and so this is a great class. Thank you.
I'm John, and if I'm being honest, I took the class because I want to learn how to cook. I like eating, and if you want to eat, you gotta cook. So, yeah, I think it's an awesome opportunity to take like a chunk in the middle of your day and learn a skill as important as cooking. And also, my mom appreciates it. I got some more skills to use. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. So our student chefs and Mr. Muhammad are going to distribute the meals to you. So it's in just a second.
I would expect this will not happen at every board meeting.
I should also share with you that Mr. Muhammad really is very innovative and creative. And so the recipes that the students have been preparing all semester, he took it upon himself as a new teacher to OPRF and created a recipe book that he was selling to the staff. And this Evan, who they follow you so much, has purchased one of those recipe books.
This feels more like Shark Tank.
I will be back later to ask for.
Thanks, Bob.
No, I think I'm not.
Wow.
Oh, of course, thank you.
Nice. Oh,
Absolutely. We don't care, what happened? As long as you can have whatever's left over. Okay. Mr. Arthur, oh, yes. Yeah, thank you very much.
I didn't know it was included. That was-
Thank you so much. There's questions for the students, the board has some questions for the students if you come back up. And a member of the audience had a question, the audience. Asked where they could get it.
Absolutely. So these cookbooks, I had them printed a few weeks ago, but we can always print more. I have it saved. It was $5. So if anyone still wants a cookbook, we'd be happy to provide more. We actually did bring a few extra and I have some more up in my room right now. And we'll do the same next semester. We have all of our cookbooks. I also teach culinary arts and baking pastries. So if anyone wants a cookbook for any of those classes, I'd be more than happy to share. And I also did want to mention before we turn it over to our excellent students here, you'll notice in front of your bag, aside from having your name labeled to it, we like to give a personal touch. The students want to deliver it straight to the teacher. You write their names on the bag. You'll notice that there's a QR code there. And you just have to scan the code and we always take for survey. We always take feedback. So it leads to a Google survey and we always implement changes. And that was one of the biggest changes we actually saw. Teachers wanted recipes for the orders that they are purchasing. So we always take feedback constructively. So we hope you enjoy everything today. The students can tell you more about the recipes because they made everything themselves and I'm very impressed with them. But please do, if you have a chance after today, leave us feedback. If you get any feedback, we take it constructively.
Any questions?
I have questions that might be more directed towards.
Well, they should stay up.
To my,
Because I'm
But-
gonna
this is really exciting. We haven't heard here in this room, haven't heard much about the culinary program. And, but because of our emphasis on secondary pathways, that I think there's a huge opportunity. And so, what I'd like to know is maybe some future plans and along with those future plans, we'll kind of, I know that in the later phases of Imagine, there is a plan for upgrade and I think even a move of the commercial kitchen. What kind of facilities may be needed and what we might be looking at?
So as was shared, the students have the opportunity to take the Serve State test, which does lead to employability skills immediately. So that's the first thing that our culinary division has worked with Triton on, is making sure that those employability skills and certifications that lead to immediate employability skills are present in our school. And that's a big deal. That took a lot. And so our teachers work with the students to make sure that they study, they get slides and prepped to pass the Serve State. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is absolutely a pathway and a pathway that we are well poised to make our next CCPE. So we brought to you business and you approved those courses just this October and November. And so we are in the presence of applying with ISBE for that CCPE. Once we have that done, our next move will be to culinary. to make that a CCP. So students can have the,
The two of you, are you seeking like part-time employment out there in the community, looking to work for somebody to hone your skills and?
I definitely am. I plan on doing it as soon as possible. We just took a certificate manager exam today. So as soon as my certificate is in process, I will definitely plan on using that to good use as soon as possible. And then it's always been the plan to do it in college as my way of making money during school. So.
And then,
and the last thing I would say is you asked about, the next project, project 3 or.
well, I said in the later.
Whichever it is,
It's in
the
the.
changes to the commercial kitchen, well, I'm sure, Mr. Muhammad would tell you are necessary, but one of the things that's really important is that we continue to diversify our culinary department, so students recognize it's not just a female dominant career, but men do it and can make lucrative careers and a variety of careers. And so I would say I have no idea what would be needed, but when it comes time, we are working with our teachers, would work with our teachers, and we're trying to grow the program. So we want to see far more students taking advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, and that's about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, I volunteered to be part of the quality control. Fair enough. Yeah.
I get feedback, so you are.
Yes.
Any other questions for the students?
Yeah, I mean, alluding to in terms of future plans, I mean, in your case, you've been your passion for cooking and doing college, and I guess, John, and you've taken this class, you see yourself doing more in this space?
I definitely see it as a possibility for like a part-time job in the future, but definitely not my career. But it's still, cooking is a very important skill to have.
Yes, it is. I'm sure you're making something up.
And so this class, this is the mini restaurant class. My daughter's taking the culinary, like, there are multiple other culinary classes, right? So it's been great. I'm just,
If you don't mind me asking, what's your daughter's name? Perhaps she's in my class.
Cubby White.
Oh, no, not my class.
I know copyright. We're in a fitness and foods class together, so she's a joy. We have a lot of fun in all of our culinary classes. I'm gonna be taking all of them, actually. That wasn't the plan, but I will be taking every single one at the end of this year. They're honestly just a lot of fun. And also, it's not just in this class, we also learn a lot of like sanitation things. It's safety and sanitation with cooking. And so like John said, it's an important skill to learn how to cook, but it's also like really, also like just even if you're not gonna go working in a restaurant, knowing these safety and sanitation skills are still really important in general. And I learned a lot of things that have applied to my home life already, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Seth, that was a very atypical student recognition, so thank you so much for the time and food and everything. And it seems odd that I'm about to say here that two students who went halfway around the world are kind of second fiddle to our students here, but we have our two students here who attended COP29 just last month, and so I'm going to turn it over to Cindy. Are you coming up? The students are coming right up. Okay, great. So students, please come on up. We have both Habibuk and Laura Chinchilla, both who joined us in Baku, and I was also fortunate to share some time with you. So if you could just share a few words about your experience and kind of what you learned and what value that more.
Yes. So my name is Poppy Blue. I traveled to Azerbaijan along with Laura and 3 other students to attend the United Nations Climate Conference, COP29. And so it was a really amazing experience where we got the opportunity to talk to a lot of different climate activists and world leaders and many different people who worked in the climate field. And I definitely learned a lot from this experience, and I felt really honored to be able to go. So I also went to Baku. I was dealing with Poppy, so we did meet the same people. What I really enjoyed, besides meeting incredible people from all over the world, was the fact that I got to learn about really niche topics because they had heavily technical presentations. And I got to spend my time just learning out about like macroalgae is source of blue carbon or biochar. So it was a really great experience to just learn about the field I want to go into from experts who are fighting the same fight that we are.
I also want to prompt you a little bit by saying that your mere presence was enough to bend the language of several presentations. Right, go ahead.
So the specification with that is, I did not pick the space tech team, but the people at the crew really recognize me after a certain point because we hear a lot about China and the United States in terms of combating climate crisis, but we don't hear a lot about Korea, which is doing a lot of really good work for showing net zero by 2050 for themselves to other countries. So I was at their pavilion most days attending their 2-hour sessions. And since they were highly technical, they didn't have a lot of attendees. And when they did, they were primarily Korean. So the first night I sat in our presentation, one of the professors came up afterwards and he's like, I was gonna start speaking Korean, but I noticed you were still there. So being that one foreigner has bonuses in this context.
Yeah. Well, it was a joy being there with you, and thank you for coming here. Thank you for coming here tonight. Oh, we also have another attendee as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you meet anyone particularly important at COP29?
Yeah, we met Al Gore. So that was a pretty cool experience. I got to hear him present because he works for a like pretty prominent climate organization now. So that was a really cool experience to be able to meet somebody who, you know, used to be vice president of the United States and now has turned his attention towards climate because that is such an important topic today. There are also a lot of really cool non-American figures power, like there's cousin Poland behind the seizure cameras. But I also know you and 2 other students got to interview one of the Chinese delegates who's the head of marketing for the pavilion. So they were world leaders, they were mayors, they were senators, like really important people who you would literally just run into, which is mildly disconcerting.
But they got to meet you.
Yes,
Right, that's right.
and it's
Exactly right.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay,
Thank you. Thank you. Student council, I think I see Nora. Yes.
Good evening. This one's short this time, you know, I've been pretty long in the past, but this one's pretty short, I'd say. From a student council standpoint, we spent a few meetings making thank you cards for every staff and faculty member. We also created a banner for students to sign to honor and support our police department and their commitment to keeping our community safe, as well as to commemorate the loss of Detective Reddens. Our student service project coordinator, Alice Cadwell, delivered the banner to the police station last week, and they were really appreciated and thankful. Students really enjoyed the De-Stress Fest that we had this past week, I believe. Students were able to, during their lunch periods, were able to go and make friendship bracelets, make slime. They were able to visit the De-Stress dogs. They were able to listen to music and decorate cookies and all these different activities. They really felt it was a good break from having to worry about or studying for finals. We all know that at the end of the semester is always a hectic time, so they did really appreciate it. And I talked to handful of students about it, and yeah, they really appreciated for it. As you may know, OPR students attended an assembly to watch their peers perform their Prisms music production. I spoke to a few people who participated in the production, and they said that despite being slightly nervous to record in front of the student body, and despite the slight hecticness of it, they thought it was great practice and an overall fun experience in the end. And for people that participated in the audience for the rest of the student body, they also saw that it was a way to kind of take a break from finals and to kind of experience something that was able to take their mind off of things and kind of like a de-stress moment. I personally enjoyed it. I always loved watching prisms, so it's good to listen to it at the assembly. I'd like to touch on the Google form that I have made accessible to the student body. I've had handful of responses, which I'm very happy about, to see kind of what the students are concerned about, and those are kind of topics I feel I'll discuss with Principal Parker because they more fall under her area of action. But there was some problems with it. Some people weren't able to access it, so I'll look over that during the break and try to fix it for the new year. I think that's it. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the holiday season and the break.
Thank you. Dr. Bentley?
Okay, superintendent's announcements, a few today. First, congratulations to Coach Tim Hassel on being named the Class 3A Boys Track and Field Coach of the Year by the Illinois Track and Cross Country Coaches Association. It's a very well-deserved honor for the coach who led our boys track team to win the 2024 state championship. OPRF music students have set a new school record with 22 Huskies chosen for highly coveted performance spots at the annual Illinois Music Educators Association Conference in January. In addition, OPRF's 31-member a cappella choir is one of just 6 high school ensembles from across the state who have been selected to perform. Of special notes, Brett Linsing took first in state in jazz set for the 2nd year in a row. Jude Peterson took first in state in jazz piano. Clara Franson took first in composition instrumental large ensemble category, and Roy Corner took 2nd in composition electronic category for the 2nd year in a row. The other students earning state honors are Lizzie Bell, Benjamin Drucker, Ray Ferret, Bennett Keene, Brooke Lingenfelter, Rowan Lingenfelter, Aaliyah Way Henriks, Eddie Pearson, Abbott Al-Zahadi, George Bartadija, Andy Keller, Victor Kramer, Ivy Lentz, Emily Churchhouse, George Matrop, Jackson O'Brien, Gavin O'Shaughnessy, and Ben Gaunt. And congratulations to the 2 robotics teams that qualified for state this month. Team Menace and Friends, what a great title, includes Miles Milhouse, Simon Bade, Ryan Campbell, Andrew Borrell, and Jackson Young. Team Electrical Dysfunction, also a good name, includes Milo Hansen, Lars Olson, Lily Zinfer, Sophie He, Samuel Primo Hopkins, and Asher Frank. And congratulations to PE teacher Rashad Singletary, who was honored by the Chicago Bears as a Chicago Bears Classroom Legend. The Classroom Legend Award is a nomination-based award recognizing outstanding teachers throughout the school year with unique Chicago Bears prizes and financial donations for their classrooms. And finally, kudos to the OPR speech team for their winning 2nd place at the DeKalb Corn Classic. Special congratulations to tournament champions Alejandro Medina, who took 1st place in humorous interpretation, and Ruby Durden, who took 1st place in impromptu speaking. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Lisa, where requests?
For submitted, and resolved.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, we will now move on to our employee recognition. Today, we are pleased to continue our employee recognition program for this 2024-25 school year. The employee recognition is sponsored by Oak Park Bank, a Wintrust Community Bank, and Mr. Chris Griffith is here to present gifts to the December winners of our employee recognition program. So.
All right, first, we'd like to congratulate Reginald Payne, mathematics teacher, who was selected as Teacher of the Month. Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Reginald. Reginald was nominated by 2 students who shared their reasons. First, he is cool. He is super nice to his students and doesn't make a huge fuss about things. He lets us work in a way that allows us to learn and have fun. Math didn't feel hard in his class. It felt doable and fun, which doesn't happen often in my math classes. And another student simply stated, because he is awesome. So congratulations, Reginald.
Good evening. I was going to write this really intricate speech, but I got nervous about speaking in front of everyone, so I didn't. I'll just say that I was shocked when I found out I was teacher of the month. I've been teaching 14 years. I don't think I've ever been recognized for doing anything positive in my classroom. So when I found out, I was speechless. I don't know if you look at the picture, it's just a blank stare. I enjoy working here. I've been here for 4 years now, and one of the great things about this place, besides the fact that the students are amazing, is that you just never know what's going to happen the next day. This is always a surprise. Thank you for the honor. I won't take up too much of your time. I'll just say I'm grateful and hope to continue to do the things that made me worthy of this award in the first place. Thank you.
There you go, that's for you. That's for you, this photo's for us. Okay. So, I've got more ready to get back in my office. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, I would like to extend congratulations to Lamar Dumont, Data Systems Analyst. Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Lamar. Lamar's innovative data tools, dedication to professional growth, and exceptional teamwork have greatly improved school-wide data management, efficiency, and satisfaction, making him a respected, invaluable, and well-deserving candidate for employee recognition. Congratulations, Lamar.
Love you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lamar Dumont. I am one of the 3 data analysts with our data systems team here at Oak Park D200 High School. A little fun fact about myself is I was once a student here. I graduated in year 2015. I've been working here for about 2.5 years, just about. So it's pretty surreal walking these hallways once as a student, but now as an employee. I don't really interact with students or teachers much, but I do a lot of interaction with administration. So a lot of my work is done behind the scenes. So the fact that I'm honored today is really high in my books. I've done a few reports for the board, and it being parent engagement, just looking at the parent engagement around the last year and this school year. So I'm hoping those reports were useful for you all. But really not much more to say than that. I'm just happy I was able to receive this award. And I'm happy that my work is being recognized since it's so behind the scene unknown. So, and I also want to say, when I was a student here, I really didn't know much about data. So I don't even think data was ever mentioned to me once when I was a student. So if there are any teachers here that, just overhear students talking about data or having interest in data, I'll be happy to talk to them about it and just share my insights surrounding how I got into it and how I'm still doing it to this day. So thank you all for having me.
First, there you
No, okay. So we are now shifting to our sustainability recognition program. And we will be recognizing 2 sustainability champions, 1 student and 1 employee for their exemplary efforts in environmental sustainability.
So congratulations are in order for Connor Chernowski, our student sustainability champion. Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Connor. Connor, the Enviro Club, Enviro Club co-vice president, is an effective student leader on the Sustainability Committee and Facilities Committee, and a key member of the Sustainability Scorecard Project. He currently leads the hydroponics project team, supplying fresh lettuce to the staff and student cafeteria. This year, he was an exemplary representative of OPRF at the West Suburban Conference Environmental Workshop. Congratulations, Connor.
Thank you, I want to finish right here. I'd like to thank the school board for inviting me here tonight and for always being so supportive of OPRF's sustainability initiative. This school has presented me and my peers countless opportunities to pursue their passions and make a life for themselves. OPRF's commitment to renewable energy bests that of any other, and I wholeheartedly believe that we will become carbon neutral by 2050. Among others, Mr. Arbogast, Dr. Fiorenza, and Dr. Johnson have been integral in helping OPRF's environmental club further its agenda, and we wouldn't have been nearly as productive without the help of people like you guys. Thank you to Ms. Wong for being an amazing environmental mentor and the club sponsor. I couldn't have done any of this without you. And thank you to my parents for always supporting me, and thank you to District 200 for always supporting people who want to make the world a better place.
And to continue our recognition, the faculty sustainability champion for the month of December is Antonio Lema, English teacher. Here are some of the highlights from the nominations received for Antonio. Antonio, along with other English teachers, modified a unit in the freshman curriculum to focus on multiple categories of sustainability. As a result, hundreds of students will now research sustainability methods for their synthesis research essay. Congratulations, is Antonio here?
He's not.
Yeah, so congratulations to Antonio, and also congratulations to all of our December winners.
All right, we will now move into our next agenda segment, public comments. Lisa?
None.
We will move from our next, and we'll give it a second here, and then we will move into our consent. Shuffle it. Okay. So for the we're moving into our consent agenda. Are there any consent items that board members would like to have pulled for discussion? Okay, seeing none, then I move to approve the consent items as follows. A, approval of the open and closed minutes of November 21 and December 5th, 2024, a declaration that the audio tapes of the closed session minutes of February 2023 be destroyed. B, approval of the personnel recommendations, including new hires, assignment changes, and resignations. C, approval of the Board of Education meeting dates for the 2025 calendar year. D, approval of the ECH Industries contract for the 2025 CIP abatement project for $105,000, along with the alternate repair work at rooms 2118, and 2120 for the amount of $17,350 for asbestos abatement services. E, approval of the 5-year contract with the Historical Society of Oak Park and River Forest for an annual cost of $7,500. F, approval of the October 24 Treasurer's Report as presented. G, approval of the October 24 Financial Report as presented. And H, approval of the November and December 2024 check disbursements and financial resolutions, including the payroll resolutions of January 2025.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Brinkhorst,
Yes.
Ms. Williams Lee,
Yes.
Dr. Livingston,
Yes.
Dr. Norman,
Yes.
Mr. Brisbane,
Yes.
Mr. Arkin,
Yes.
and Mr. Rossi.
Yes, the motion passes. So we now shift to our action items, of which there are 3. The first one, I move to accept the donation of $1 million from the Oak Park River Forest High School Imagine Foundation to reimburse expenses for Project 2 as presented.
Second.
And discussion.
Would you all like to share anything? We have 2 members from the foundation here, and now hardly need any introduction, unless you handle all the management stuff.
Yeah, well, this was just here a couple months ago to give you an update on our capital campaign, and tonight we're excited to be here with a check in hand. As expected, over the last couple of months, we started to receive some of our multi-year gift agreement payments, which is exactly what we had planned. And that makes getting mail every day a lot more exciting to get those checks. But to date, we've raised just over $10.4 million in multi-year gift agreements, cash gifts, and grants. But of course, we can't do that without our generous 170 donors so far. And also our 60 volunteers who are part of our leadership groups, which include our governing board of directors, our advisory council, our campaign steering committee, and our brand new associate board of young professionals, of which we have 4 OPRF students who are part of it as a part of their future philanthropist program for the community foundation. So we're really excited to have them involved. And then moving into next year, we will continue to build relationships with people who can give significant investments to the school, as well as every size gift as we are well into our community phase. So I think I can say on behalf of the entire foundation that we are just honored to be part of this transformational initiative to help uphold the tradition of excellence of OPRF in education. And with this grant, we are able to move that much closer to our goals. And we look forward to coming back next year with a couple more times, or hopefully with checks bearing many zeros to be done.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the boards and for again allowing us to contribute in this fashion. Excited to see all the work. The playing fields, I'm glad to see there's holes in the football field now. Maybe that'll help the football team play a little bit better next year. I can say that because my son coached that team. So I gotta give him a little bit of a hard time, but I'm excited the way you guys are handling things and moving the project along. So excited to see what happens with Project 2 as it moves forward. So it continues to be, we're having fun with it. And we're hoping that this is Project 2 is only, I wouldn't say the beginning, but the middle as we keep going forward. So thank you all for all your hard work. We appreciate it. So.
Were you voted on that?
Yeah,
No, we haven't voted. This is discussion. So
Oh,
I
okay.
have 2 words, which is thank you.
Sounds good.
I have the same, I have the same 2 words. Thank you very
You're
much. It's
welcome.
really exciting to watch what you guys are doing in Hollisville.
Well, thank you for being at the beginning of it. We appreciate that.
I mean, you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I just want to add to Fred. Fred, Tim, and I had the opportunity to be on the Imagine team, and so to be able to be at this point and just come to fruition has just been amazing. So thank you for all your support.
It is so cool, the process that you all were on, and it started, I think, in 2017 or 18, and to, see it come to fruition, and it's very exciting. Things are actually happening and getting done. It's great, so. All right, thanks all.
I also just want to say thank you.
And this just fills me with immense gratitude and appreciation for what you contributed to the community. It's wonderful, so thank you.
Well, we appreciate that. And it's a group effort, obviously. We're just one, you all, the
Yes.
prior board and this board have done a lot to make it happen. It wouldn't happen if everybody in the community was not working together, or most of the people in the community weren't working together. So, all right, thanks.
So now we're gonna take we have to vote and see if the 7 board members here are interested in accepting $1. So would you please call the roll?
Ms. Winsley.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Dr. Livingston.
Yes.
Mr. Brisker.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes, of course.
Dr. Morrow.
Yes.
Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
And Mr. Costa.
Yes, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
So.
Sure.
Fred, you want
Oh, Brad, come on. It's a party.
It's a heavy check.
It's like I don't have my glasses. I took a nice, one of you guys has to grab it.
Yeah.
Take that right over to Dallas.
Do we have any of that school for order?
Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Good to see you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Brad.
Thank you. Who's our banker?
Yeah, okay.
I'll just take it away from them. I'm gonna make tomorrow. Maybe a little late.
Just one account to the other.
Our next action item is I move to approve the lease agreement with Forest Park School District 91 for an annual amount of $117,691 and approve administration to notify the River Forest Community Center of the district's intention to end the existing lease as of June 30, 2026.
Second.
And is there any discussion or question?
Is this part of the consent agenda? Did we already have a discussion on this? Or is this a new one?
This is an action item. Yeah.
We haven't had a discussion on this yet, have we?
We have not had a discussion on this, so it's worth probably explaining a little bit why this is outside of the regular sequence. We are interested in, well, we've talked before about how our site program is growing. When we brought our agreement with Blue Forest Community Center to the board last August, that was part of the conversation there, and an opportunity had presented itself for us to move on, and it was just at last week's board meeting in Forest Park that they voted us as their preferred applicant for the lease. And so in an effort to try to get this done before the new year and notify RFCC as quickly as possible that we are going to be with them for next school year, but not the year after that. We wanted to bring this to the board before the calendar flipped over. So that really is described in a.
Yeah, it's that notification deadline.
That's exactly.
Yeah, the notification deadline of December 31st, this is coming to us kind of out of the normal practice of 2 weeks because we want to assure that occurs as long as the board is all in support of that.
Understood. I have just 2 quick questions. In the memo, it says demand for the site programming has continued to increase. Can you give us just a little synopsis of that trend?
I think I've talked before the board about, recently, a couple of years ago, the state passed a law where students used to be able to graduate or exit the day before their 22nd birthday. They are now entitled to stay for the entire year of their 22nd birthday. So students are staying longer. In addition, are making efforts to have students participate in transition education in the community.
rather than going to a therapeutic day school if at all possible. Transition education is more meaningful in the place that you're going to live, after, in adulthood. We're able to connect kids to their own community, adult agencies that they have access to if they're here. So, this opportunity will allow us to have just more space to, move forward with those goals too.
And it seems like we're getting a lot more space for the dollars. Is it correct that there's gonna be 1 year in which we're gonna end up having to pay for both River Forest and this new elementary school?
Tony, correct me, for that 1 year, which actually is a preferable opportunity because I think there's probably, we'll start transitioning slowly to the new space as it becomes accessible for all classrooms. There's 4 classrooms currently and they all have a wide variety of needs and some will be easier to transition than others.
And this may be a Tony question, but he states in his memo that this does fall within the planned budget projections of the fiscal year 2026. Is that still true when paying 2 rents in that year?
Yeah, sorry, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because when the initial talks with Forest Park School District had began, we were unsure if we'd be able to lease the first floor only or if we'd have to lease the entire building. So essentially the first run that Brian Imhoff and I had taken at this, we had essentially doubled what the now current lease is in the projections, thinking that we may have to take that entire building. We were able to just utilize the first floor, which is great for our needs. But that cost then was actually be a little bit lower than we were thinking when factoring the 1 year of the RFCC in.
Okay, so the answer is yes, it still fits within, yeah. Last question is, does the Forest Park District then have any of their own personnel in the building while we're occupying it? Or are we the only people with employees there?
I don't know that if we're going to give you a completely comprehensive answer. We do know that according to the agreement, cleaning of the space, maintenance of that space is still gonna be with D200. So that's the answer. Currently, into the future, all of their board meetings will be on the second floor library in Grant White. And so that will continue. And so there'll be a presence there to prepare and get those away. There are currently also staff in the front office. I don't know if that's going to continue in the future years. We'll have to figure that out. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
No other educational programs are going to be there. That's how we would put it. Open.
Right. Yeah, I had a few questions. Graham hit on a couple of the points I wanted to make. So we're going from roughly 5,000 square feet, 5,400 square feet to 14,000 square feet. And it means that our cost per square foot is considerably less than what we're paying the workforce. Right. Has there been or is there any consideration of looking to purchase a piece of property, a house rather than its lease?
Not recently at all. Early in the process, when we were interested, I even go back to when Gwen Walker Walls was in charge of special education several years ago. She and I had conversations about looking for other sites. And so at that point, there were no restrictions. Sure, purchasing was something we had considered. We always knew though that if we're looking at something that is a commercial site, significant renovations and work would be needed for such a thing. This doesn't have that, and so we just jumped right at it. So the long term, yes, Fred, but not in the short term.
Do you have a handle on what our costs to our initial costs to bring in equipment to modify space or make any improvements and additions, alterations to the property, what that's going to look like?
Tony, do you think you're able to speak to that? We've had some preliminary conversations. I don't know we've gotten all the way to costing it out, but we know that it's not going to be significant. Tom's favorite word. But Tony, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. We don't have final costs now. Some of the conversations that we've had with District 91-2 would be depending on the space. Either we would pay for some of it, or depending on what was needed, it could be if it was mutually beneficial, a split cost. But yeah, we know the big addition would be the need to build out a couple of kitchens for the program, and then we would be able to also with the lease remaining at the RFCC for the 1 year, as Andrea had spoken to, with programs phasing in, would allow us a little bit more time to not have to rush through building out everything we need right away, but be able to phase it in over essentially 2 summers.
And then I just want to clarify and understand, just to understand that the lease payment, that's it. There is no additional cost for maintenance or cleaning or anything. We're not responsible for any of that, right?
No, in the lease itself, it spells out that shared cost for their custodial services, and then shared cost for utilities as well.
My question is, this is about the finances, but being a facility in a different community from an educational standpoint, can you just talk to, whether this is just us moving to that community, or if there has been any dialogue or discussion about sharing resources from a special ed standpoint?
I'll start it, Andrew, and then let's see how that goes. So if there's anything I'm missing there. So I think, Tom, what you're getting at is whether there would be value for Forest Park or District 91 attendees for the educational services we provide over in.
Yes, I mean, if we have a facility, would this facility offer any value for that community in any way, shape, or form? And is it feasible or not feasible, or?
I will say not directly to students, no differently than if we had this within this building or where it currently is. It is an Oak Park and River Forest High School program, and as such, for any student who doesn't live within our boundaries to benefit from that program directly, they would need to, do what any student would have to do in the state, and according to state code, that means pay tuition, which is pretty sizable, $20,000+ for according to state code for this. So that's probably prohibitive for this, with maybe rarest of exceptions, probably prohibitive. Whether there could potentially be partnerships like with the elementary programs there, right? So there could be something there, is something we'd be open to exploring. It was discussed on a topical level, when we were first in conversations with Dr. Alvarez over in D91. And nothing concrete has been determined, but it's something we'd be very willing to talk about as our agreement goes on for the next few years. Is that fair, Ms. Matt?
Yeah, and I think if everyone's familiar with the location of this building, it's a great location for us and for students who are looking for employment opportunities as well. It's very close to Madison Street. It actually brings us 5 minutes closer to our campus, which allows our staff who go back and forth to have a little bit quicker access, because it's an extension of our district. So anytime something happens or just in order to help support staff over there, we're always going back and forth. So that's helpful. We talked also about opportunities in terms of partnering. They have an early childhood program and an aftercare program too, and a lot of our students will often work in daycare programs too. So there's just a lot of organic opportunities that we're always looking for that are similar to where we're at now, but just provide us with more space that we really need.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, we will call the roll, please.
Mr. Arkin,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Livingston,
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj,
Yes.
Mr. Grandhouse. Yes. Mr. Gresham.
Yes.
And Mr. Costi.
Yes. The motion passes. And our third action item is I move to approve the employee resignation agreement with Anthony Clark as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Livingston,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Gresham,
Yes.
Dr. Maharaj,
Yes.
Mr. Grandhouse,
Yes.
Mr. Arkin,
Yes.
and Mr. Costi.
Yes, the motion passes. That completes our action and we move to governance. There is no I think there are just two updates. Last time we reviewed our goals. There were some date issues that some of the goals had the either 24, 3, we were off a year as we kind of play this thing. So we will tidy those goals up so that they are complete. The second item, and Graham, I mean, just to talk to it, early in the year, we had discussion on board norms, and there is a document for the board norms, and it has been suggested that that document be basically embedded in the governance section so that we have it as a reference. It is a document that is constantly, it has some life to it. There are data tables and historical references that are updated. So that was kind of a recommendation that we would just house it there and we could use it, if we could talk to it as needed. So, does anyone have any opposition to that approach? Okay, so we will do that. And that completes our governance. Committees and reports. We'll just do a quick around the horn. HiGov.
Yeah, so Audrey and I were both there. The bulk meeting was centered on the upcoming election and some concerns that there are multiple challenges, et cetera, that have gone on, and that whether ECHO can do more to get information out to potential candidates. So we talked about reaching out to the League of Women Voters who have held candidate forums in the past and see whether they might be able to facilitate recruiting candidates for boards going forward. And I seem to have volunteered to draft a candidate 101 one-pager that's just a sort of a neutral, this is what you do at the board level. This is, what qualifications you need. This is, these are the things that might fall under administration work rather than board work. And I think we could also use something that's just here are some of the arcane details of applying, such as you need to use a paperclip to bind your petitions together rather than a staple. Some of these details are really not obvious. And if you don't have someone to kind of walk you through it, it can be very challenging. So we're just going to try and put together some kind of resource, and things a little unclear, possibly hosted on the village site. So we all have someplace we can find people to.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
And Audrey, is there anything to add?
No, that's the bulk, other than just the updates from the various boards, the bulk of it was really looking at, sort of how do we continue to support and get candidates to be willing to run.
Yeah, I mean, and the more we can make it so that people aren't getting, peeled off because of what in some cases are not, like you mentioned, the processes are pretty sticklerish
Yeah.
and that is somewhat,
I feel like the first time around was very lucky that not for
yes.
Tim like walked over with me and made sure I used a paper clip instead of staple.
Yeah. Having a buddy to help you
Yeah.
through this would be beneficial because it's not, to me, it's not always intuitive. Okay, excellent. Graham, do you want to cover CSC?
We had an exciting meeting. We discussed the tax levy, the budget. And then we talked about ingredients for a financial dashboard. Got some really terrific input from the committee on that. As well as reaffirming the criteria for our peer districts. And we're gonna have version 1.0 of our dashboard ready by January. And I noticed, Tom, you had made us write up some notes. Thank you for that. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. CCB,
The December meeting.
Apple,
There's full meeting. Well, I have my phone.
Oh, no, it's
fine. Okay.
sustainability. We have.
I attended their meeting, in November, just before going out of the country, and I still owe the board my write-up on that, so.
Okay.
My hand scribbled notes, I'll put out.
Thank you. Facilities. Forest.
Because the, January.
Community council.
There was no December meeting, there will be.
Yep. All right, boosters, applause, I'm just kind of.
It's all about business.
Okay. Alumni,
No, nothing.
scholarship,
The app is open, seniors should be in the app, applying for scholarships. There are lots of. Activity foundations.
collaboration, we had our. Whiteboard, right?
It was technically an informational meeting this week, out of a forum. Well, yeah, we had one, but all parties said not have the requisite to have a quorum. So we still had I think a very productive meeting and we will be dedicating a significant part of our discussion to taking a good look at governance and looking at where we're at now as a IGA governing board and looking at the tri-board charge really and how that's changed over the years and how we can accomplish much more than we're currently accomplishing. So it's exciting, but we didn't get to officially get into that conversation that we planned because not having.
So will that be, I mean, because that the official really is the one time a year when you have the three boards, does that mean that it will be next December or is there intent to do it at,
So I'm unclear on this, whether the informational meeting, us declaring it as such is a substitute for that, or if we are still, if it's still in our powers to reschedule, have it official. So I need to huddle up with, actually, Lisa, Mike, do you have any perspective on that? Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because of the cycle, an annual cycle, if there's, decision making needed by this board, in concert with the other boards. We've got, you know, if it's critical decision making, you know, to wait a year, seems a long time. It depends on what it is that we're gonna be asked, but. And discussion, but decision, more for the action based, okay, so, okay. And Oak Park Council governance was canceled due to conflict with a federal election. So that covers it. So, future agenda items, are there any? I see none. I do, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe you and I would say the same thing here.
Which is, you know, we talked again about the process by which we bring forth future agenda items, and we talked it, but there's a need for a little more meat on the bones.
So I had a suggestion actually, only because I was reviewing with my daughter for her government class.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court, when they're deciding whether to hear a case or not, there's something called a rule of four, which is if four of the justices say yes, then it gets heard in the Supreme Court. And I was like, that would be possibly a simple way to decide whether the board actually looks at the agenda.
Well, that already has been, we've already have that, but the question really. What we had talked about, really, we just need a set of filters, right? That need to be, that an item is brought forth and a set of filters. One is, you have 4 people, okay? One is it really board work? Okay, if it's administration work or something, it has to be board work. And we can figure out what else, there needs to be a little bit of more meat on that.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's exactly it. I mean, you know, I was just gonna highlight the process, you know, it's great minds, right? So, it's about time. There had been a long time where we didn't have a whole lot of future agenda items that were coming, but over the past, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months, there've been 3 or 4, and I think the next step is now that they've kind of gathered, we need to bring them back to this table for a conversation, so I can look to that early in the new year. Okay. Consensus, all we would need from the board is just some sort of general consensus. We wouldn't need a vote. That could happen at a committee meeting. It could be the policy section.
Yeah, and again, coming back to our governance section and our norms, this is really something that really is simple of how we bring about the work. Okay, and so again, we don't need to make it anything overly elaborate, but we need to be disciplined in how we do it.
Is what you're suggesting simple as with last week, saying that, you know, this spans, if you look at HR, potentially curriculum, and so on and so forth. Are you just looking for keywords to sort of frame the pitch?
Right, what it is, yeah, we need to, and then we've got to say, then we've got to just put it through what we would consider to be our filters. And say, yep, and put it on an agenda. That's it.
So I would just say, like, if we're going to discuss it in a municipal meeting, I would recommend that happen before we decide whether it becomes official agenda item. Does that make sense?
At the committee meeting, we could actually in January or whenever we want to do it, at a committee meeting, we could bring this topic of what are you calling them, filters or criteria, whatever they are.
Yeah,
we could bring those forward for discussion first, absent any specific future items themselves.
Just how we,
and then
it's about process. It's about a governance process.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll put that on the agenda for the January.
Good. Okay. Hearing no others. I move to adjourn at 8:39. 9 p.m. On this, the day, 2 days before the winter solstice, for those who are keeping their solar calendars in order. Second, please. All in favor?